ball. The thing I love about college ball, every game counts. And they're not pros yet. Like, they still make mistakes. But like you said, they're playing their ass off. Their heart is in the game, and they really do believe it. You know, it's a business now, right? College ball is $1 billion business with the tournament and all of that. But to the kids playing, there's still some level where they're playing for Seton Hall. They're playing for Carolina. They're playing for whatever school. You know what I mean? Like, they leave it all on the floor. I love college ball. I love the effort. The effort, because that's what it is. All out effort. And yeah.
I started watching sports again, little by little, drips and drabs, you know. Little baseball. I watched the finals, you know, with Kwame. I love that style of basketball,
yeah,
what he plays. So I watched that. I watched the World Series. Football this year is just fucking atrocious, except for 3 teams that I could watch.
The NFL needs to do something. I don't know the NHL enough to speak on it, but for basketball, baseball, football, the NFL needs to, like, I don't know what they need to do. They need to clean up the act. They need to make the game something. Like, football is better on TV than live. Like the whole thing is designed to be a TV spectacle, right? And if you're playing defense, for a few years now, you couldn't touch a quarterback. Now the defensive backs are like, well, what's pass interference? Like, what do I do? I got to let him catch. I can't touch him, but then when he catches a ball, I still can't hit him because he's defenseless. Imagine telling Ronnie Lott that he couldn't hit a defenseless receiver. Ronnie Lott used to let him catch the ball just so just so he could kill him. He was like, yeah, you'll catch one. And then for the rest of the day, you're just hearing my footsteps, right? Remember that we used to talk about that, footsteps? And yeah, we know about the concussions now.
Lester the molester.
And this and that, yeah.
Lester the molester. Lester the molester used to get in your ass. He used to spray stickum all over.
Yeah, remember that?
He had that low stance off the line and shit.
So,
oh my God.
I don't know what they're going to do with football. I know they're trying to make it an offensive game. I had given up on football for a while. Now I'm starting to watch it again, but I don't have a team. I don't have a team.
Neither do I. I mean, I like watching because it's perfect football. I like watching New England because it's perfect football. I grew up watching Belichick and Lawrence Taylor. So New England's an extension of that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like watching Danny Inosanto teach Kung Fu. He's teaching Bruce Lee Kung Fu. But I think about the NFL in the next 20 years, how hard it's going to be. Shit's going to change because of football, because not everybody's putting their kid in football no more.
Parents aren't letting their kids play football.
Even in my hometown, which was built on football.
Yeah. No, listen, I know a lot of mothers who are like, no, my kid ain't playing football. Plain and simple. Like, my kid is not going to get hit. You know, they got to do it's a line. It is a violent game. But they got to figure out how to keep the game exciting, but still protect the players, protect their heads, right? The best thing I heard, it's crazy as it sounds, the best idea I heard, it was a doctor, a neurologist. He said, go back to leather helmets. He said, because if you're wearing a leather helmet, you won't use your head for a weapon. Which, made sense, right?
Does make a lot of sense.
Because part of the reason they started using the helmet is because the helmet is so strong, right? So I don't know. They got to do something with the game, because right now it's so heavily weighed on the offense that the defense, I think they're like, well, what do we do? Right? What do we do? We can't hit the quarterback. We can't hit the receivers. What do we do? But part of the game, and I'm not saying taking people out like we're not talking 1978 Raiders, but the game is somewhere between that and where we're headed now. It won't go away. You know why football won't go away? Because it's the number one. You talked about gambling. It's the number one gambling sport in the country, right? More money's bet on the Super Bowl than any event we have. So it's not going to go away because that money ain't going nowhere.
what's going to happen is, though, it's going to change the college. More African American Latino kids. People, I watched the report. I think on Real Sports is what's going on right now. That they're the ones that are picking up the slack. A couple Jews in. You know, if you got no money to go to college, this is your answer to go to college.
Yeah, it's a way in.
So they don't give a fuck. They're like, this is your way in. We'll figure it out. I sit here at times and think, did this just come from the fucking sky? All these concussions and all this PTSD. I want to know about those guys that were playing with leather helmets. What was their percentage? See, I started watching football in the 70s with Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the team you watched. If you were a violent person,
Yeah.
and were fucking crazy, and
Yeah, the fearsome foursome, and all that. Yeah,
I loved that shit. I loved the Raiders. I loved hitting, and that's, you're Cuban. There's no baseball. You're angry. You might as well see somebody get fucking hit from behind. We all saw Lawrence Taylor break what's his name's leg.
Yeah,
shit. I forget my point. Anyway.
No, the hits used to be part of football, and it used to be the highlights.
What happened to those guys? I know that the longtime center from the Pittsburgh Steelers
Webster
shot himself.
Webster blew his head off. Junior Seau killed himself. That was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
But this is the thing, and this is the different time we're living in. So those players from the 70s, you know why we don't know what happened to it? Because we didn't have social media. We didn't have 24/7 access. So, like, once you retired from football, if you weren't an announcer, you just went away, right? So we have no idea I know a lot of those guys did die young. A lot of football players died in their 40s and 50s, and they said because of the collisions, like they said, if you're a lineman, right, offensive, defensive lineman, it's like being in a car crash because they just bang into each other's bodies and their internal organs would get messed up. But again, nobody cared because nobody knew, right? So we're only finding this out now because we have the information. Now we know what happens to a player 10 years, 15 years after his career. But I'm sure if you went back and looked, I bet a lot of those players from the 70s, were whacked out in the 80s. And
even like boxers, like I watched, a couple of weeks ago, there was an interesting fight, Masvidal against Diaz, and it got stopped because of a cut that people argued they thought would last. And 2 days later, I was online, and I saw Roberto Duran versus Davey Moore. And I clicked on the fight. It's one of my all-time favorite fights. I haven't watched it in about 4 years. Roberto Duran is a 32-year-old on his way out, fighting a 26-year-old beast who's 16-0.
We're going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.